Hi guys, so have the Labour Party found their mojo? So Boris Johnson was in the US this week where there was hope that some progress would be made in getting the ball rolling for a US-UK trade deal. But following comments by Joe Biden to the Prime Minister, Johnson said that the US President had, and I quote, bigger fish to fry. So it looks like a major Brexit benefit has failed to materialise. Surprise, surprise. Now, Deputy Leader of the Opposition, Angela Rayner, was standing in for Keir Starmer, and my God, she gave Dominic Raab a rhetorical slapping about. Let's have a look at this.
But, Mr. Speaker, can I begin by offering my commiserations to the Prime Minister after he flew away to the US and made absolutely zero progress on the trade deal that he promised us. And can I ask the Deputy Prime Minister, does the Deputy Prime Minister still believe that British workers are amongst the worst idlers in the world?
I love this. I love this. So, of course, I wish she had actually gone a step further and said Boris Johnson's Brexit benefit. This was meant to be a Brexit benefit. This was, one of the cornerstones of Brexit. I wish she had mentioned the B word. Unfortunately, it seems the Labour Party want to avoid the B word at all costs. I think it would have really rammed the message home, also because Dominic Raab is a Brexiteer. So I really wish she had said something like, commiserations to the Prime Minister for not getting his post-Brexit trade deal that he had promised. But we have to be happy with what she said. And of course, highlighting comments that Dominic Raab and other Tories have made in the past, how British workers are the laziest in the world or the laziest in Europe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, can I just say to the Right Honourable Lady, for a start, I think it's excellent news that because of the engagement we've had with the US, they have immediately given us the boost to trade and businesses by reinstating travel from the UK to the US.
It includes Europe as well. It's not the UK on its own. It's the UK and the European Union. So this is not a Brexit benefit, or this is not some benefit of Boris. It's a benefit of Boris Johnson going to the United States and saying, can you please reopen the border to allow our citizens to fly in? No, that's not how it worked. Now, of course, Dominic Raab is trying to sell it that way, but that's a lie.
When it comes to British workers, can I just say to her that we've got payroll employment back to levels we saw before the pandemic. We've got youth employment.
But she's talking about what comments you made about British workers, not what you are doing for British workers. Do you still hold that position that British workers are the laziest ever?
Employment rising. We've got businesses advertising over 1 million jobs at a record high, and the fastest economic growth in the G7 this year.
Now, a problem with all of this is that employment levels are back to pre-COVID levels. But there are still staff shortages because of Brexit, because of the ending of freedom of movement. So what are you going to do about those staff shortages?
Angela Rayner.
Oh, Mr. Speaker, still no trade deal. And those were the words, of the Deputy Prime Minister in his book, which he wrote alongside the Foreign Secretary, the Home Secretary and the Business Secretary. And his actions, Mr. Speaker, speak even louder than those words, because whatever they say, their political choices have made it harder for working families to get by. So can the Deputy Prime Minister tell us how much his universal credit cut and national insurance hike will take from a worker on £18,000 a year? Say a shop worker or a travel agent.
Well, what I'd say to the Right Honourable Lady is that the UC uplift was always meant to be temporary. We've paid the wages of nearly 12 million workers.
This doesn't work, Dominic. You're out of your depth here. It's not Boris Johnson who's responding. And he's attempting to respond to the question, which is good. Boris Johnson will start talking about something else. He's not directly responding, but he is indirectly responding to the question. But he's not coming across as someone who's convinced by what he's actually saying.
Because through this pandemic, we are coming out with rising jobs, rising wages. We would have done none of that if we'd have taken her advice, not come out of lockdown. Labour have got no plan. Our plan is working.
Rayner.
Mr. Speaker, lots of words for I don't know, so let me help him. His government chose to cut the income of a worker on £18,000 a year by over £1,100. And Mr. Speaker, that's almost exactly the same as an average annual energy bill. Just as energy prices are ballooning, they've chosen to take the money that could cover a year's worth of bills out of the pockets of working people. The Deputy Prime Minister has said the solution is for people to work harder. So can he tell us how many days a worker on the minimum wage would have to work this year in order to afford a night at a luxury hotel, say in Crete?
I love this. This is perfect. Creating a divide, showing that the Tories do not care about the general public. The Tories live on another planet. You know, you might as well have Jacob Rees-Mogg answering these questions. That's how disconnected Dominic Raab is. You know, how many hours, how many days does someone who's working on minimum wage have to work in order to pay for your holiday, the holiday that you had? We know how much the holiday cost, more or less. It's beyond the dreams of many people. Of course it is. But Dominic Raab probably didn't even pay for it himself. It was paid for by a Tory donor. It's all a joke. It's all a joke to these people. Yes, he understands that he's been caught out. He was, you know, staying in a luxury hotel for a week or whatever it was, when he should have been actually doing his job, but we'll park that for a moment. This is beyond the realm of many people. It's beyond their reach. They have no chance of staying in a hotel like Dominic Raab has. And it's, once again, demonstrates the divide, the us and them mentality.
If she wants to talk about taxes and easing the burden on the lowest paid, I'd remind her, whenever a Labour Party has gone into government, the economy has nosedived, unemployment has soared, and
he's not Boris Johnson. He can try and be Boris Johnson, but he's not. He's trying to talk about something else, but he's not up to the task here. He's out of his depth. Now, of course, he's just going to continue on attacking the Labour Party. Well, you know, if the Labour Party were in power, what about when the Labour Party were in power? And he's not actually answering the question. He doesn't care about how much it costs for an ordinary person on minimum wage, how many hours or days they'd have to work in order to stay in his luxury apartment or, sorry, hotel in Crete.
taxes have gone through the roof. Under this government, we cut income tax, saving every worker £1,200 each year. We've introduced and extended the national living wage, so full-time workers £4,000 better off each year. We've doubled the free childcare for working parents, worth up to £5,000 for every child every year. When Labour takes office, unemployment goes up and the economy goes down.
But then why are more people in poverty? Why are more people on universal credit? Why are more people relying on food banks? If everything is better, if you're providing more funding to the poor and the working class, then why are they relying on charity?
Rayner.
Mr. Speaker, he talks about the economy. He doesn't even know how much his own holiday costs. So let me tell him, a worker on the minimum wage would need to work an extra 50 days to pay for a single night at his favourite resort.
50 days. They'd have to work an extra 50 days to stay one night at the resort where Dominic Raab was staying. And as I pointed out before, Dominic Raab probably didn't pay to stay there. Somebody else did. Because it cost more than it cost about half his salary to stay there for a week. So it's unlikely, not impossible, but it's highly unlikely that Dominic Raab paid for that holiday. Somebody else did, likely a Tory donor, and of course that Tory donor is getting something in return. That's how it works. You donate to the party, you provide them with presents and gifts, and then you get something in return. Maybe a contract, maybe a peership, getting a position in the House of Lords. That's your payback. So I'm really happy with Angela Rayner. I'm really happy with what the Labour Party have done here. Demonstrate that the Tories are out of touch. They have no connection to the working class or the poor. Try and drive a wedge between the Conservatives and their voters. Because many people voted for Boris Johnson back in 2019, and this still blows my mind, because they believed he was on their side. Somehow they believed that Boris Johnson cared about them. Obviously he doesn't, he hasn't, and he never will. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about this exchange. What's your opinion of Angela Rayner? Is she better than Keir Starmer, or is there more work to be done? As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. You ensure that this channel continues to exist. I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you join Patreon, you will receive instant access to our Discord server, where we have both audio and video chats. You can chat with me and other patrons, where we discuss important and non-important issues. Becoming a patron per month costs about the same as a large coffee, so why not check it out?